Okay, I'm gonna try and stain the staff. Now, typically, I like to use oil-based stains. This particular one here is dark walnut. Dark walnut is one that I use a lot of times with my skeletons. I'm sure you've seen like videos on how to age skeletons or how to age bones. Dark walnut has always been a favorite of mine. The skeleton actually that I'm using for the Cauldron creep, I did in dark walnut. Just let it sit on there for a few minutes and then wiped it off. I didn't want to get a real dark color on it, but in this situation here, I want the staff to look different than the skeleton, so I'm gonna let it sit a little bit longer. That'll help the stain penetrate, or try to let that penetrate a little bit deeper into the PVC to darken that color on it. I also have another color here. I think it's Jacobine, and I've not tried this one before. I bought it. I used it for something, but not for. It wasn't for Halloween related stuff. So I don't remember what this one actually looks like. It's pretty full, so something tells me I wasn't crazy about it. But we're gonna see. If anything, I might do a little mixture of the two, or just start with one, see how it looks, start with the other, and see which one I prefer more, and just go from there. But I want to get some color on this and see how it's going to look, especially with all this detail with the wood grain. It took forever to put this in. I probably would say from start to finish, this probably is 3 hours worth of using the Dremel to engrave the whole darn thing. It definitely took a lot longer than I thought it was going to, but I'm really super happy with how it turned out. But now I want to see what that's going to look like with some stain on it. I'm going to start off with the Jacobine just because I don't think I liked this one. I've already shooken these up real well. It's good dark color. I'm going to start here at the bottom where it's going to be in the Cauldron just because I don't like it. I'm not going to really see it. And that's pretty dark, but we'll see how this is going to turn out. Going on it real heavy here. Trying to really work it in. I'm going to let that sit for just a few. Cap this back up so we don't have a giant mess. I'm just using paper towels. You could use rags, whatever you got handy, but I'm gonna just try wiping it. So I was gonna let it sit a little bit longer. Yeah, that's definitely gonna have to sit a lot longer. You can see that barely did anything. So we're gonna let this sit a couple minutes. Okay, it's been about 3 minutes here. Let's see if I can wipe again, see if I get any kind of a difference. Minimal. Not much. I wonder if I should let it sit another like 10, 15 minutes. Well, you know what? I'm just gonna wipe it all. Because even doing that, I am getting some color on this. And as this stain dries, I know I'll be able to darken it more by doing additional layers. Some spots it took to really well. Other spots, it looks like it barely took to it at all. All right. Well, that's the Jacobine. I hope I'm saying that right. Doesn't matter. I think I know why I don't really have much missing out of that can. Not a big fan. All right. Dark walnut. We're going to give dark walnut a shot now. And away we go. Again, dark walnut. This is what I used on the skeleton when I first stained him and started to age that guy out. Originally, the skeleton was this color. I am just going to really just make sure it's worked in everywhere. I'm going to go ahead and wipe right away. Yeah. Dark walnut's gonna be the winner here. I'm gonna do multiple layers though. This this isn't this isn't bad. I also have other options like acrylic paints that I can try and work into this and some spray paints. I'm gonna play around with it. This is gonna be far from complete, but I wanted to just see what it would look like with a coat of stain on it. I was hoping the details are gonna pop just a smidge more than they already are, but still got a lot of ideas on how to make this shine even more. But I'm gonna go ahead, coat this whole thing in dark walnut, let it dry, then I'll hit it again with some more dark walnut, let that dry. Probably do a couple different coats in different, areas because I don't want it to be, I like to have a little bit of different variations in the tones of the wood. So I might have like a little bit darker down here, a little bit lighter up here. But gonna coat this whole thing in dark walnut, let it sit, wipe it all off, and then I'll come back when it's all done. All right, so after putting on 3 coats of dark walnut, letting each coat sit for about 5 minutes, and wiping it off, it looks the exact same. So now I've coated it again for a 4th time. I'm gonna let this sit, I don't know, I think we're gonna try for 15 minutes. I'm gonna let it sit for 15 minutes, then I'm gonna try wiping it off to see how it looks. Very surprised that the PVC is having such a hard time taking the stain. All the skeletons that I've ever used are like a PVC plastic, and it works just fine. Maybe it's something that's slightly different, I don't know. But not going to beat me out of this one. I'm going to figure it out somehow. So that means you're going to figure it out too. All right, 15, actually it was probably closer to 17 minutes later. Not really much of a difference. Like, I'm like, what the heck is going on here? But I am going to try something now that I think is going to make a difference. And I've got just here some black spray paint. This here is just flat black. And all I'm going to do is just lightly spritz a little bit of the black spray paint on here. I'm not going to let it dry. It's going to be a spray on, wipe off kind of application. So to show you what I mean, without hopefully screwing this up. Okay, very light, and wipe it off. And that helps the details pop a little bit more, at least more than what I was getting with the wood stain. The stain did help give it a nice color. And, at first I was complaining because it's just like, oh, it looks just like the bone, it's going to be the exact same color as, the skeleton. But I keep forgetting about the fact that this guy's going to get corpsed up. So a lot of the bone, isn't going to be showing like it is right now. So I don't think it's really going to matter. But I think hitting this with a little bit of the black is going to help the grains pop out a little bit more. And I think it'll help darken this to where I'd like to see it. It's close, but if you ever have an issue where you have, say, too much stain, you don't like the color of it, all you have to do is just take more stain and apply it, and it acts as like an eraser, and it'll actually take it off. So if you ever put too much stain on something, like if you're trying to, say, weather a skeleton or make a staff, and you put the stain on and you forget about it, you walk away from it, and it's like, oh crap, it's way too dark now. Just throw more stain on it and wipe it off. You might take off more than you intend to, but at least then you can restart and try again. But just a little tip for you. So anyways, I'm gonna hit this thing with the black spray paint, wipe it off, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, here is the finished staff. Again, this was just the 4 coats, 4 coats of the dark walnut wood stain, which helped darken it some. But then spritzed lightly with flat black spray paint, and then quickly wiped off. And this is the end result. I don't know if you can really pick up all that detail, but that looks pretty organic to me, and that's what I was going for, is get away from that PVC look and find something that looks a little more realistic. So I'm super happy with how this has all turned out. This is gonna dry. I'll end up clear coating it. I may end up playing with it more. I'll see how it looks in the natural light, and then kind of go from there. But I'm gonna call the staff at this point done. I do need to paint the hardware, the eye bolt that goes in here. That needs to get painted black so that doesn't stick out as much. And I still need to figure out how I'm gonna get those hands to attach. If I'm gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna put like another eye bolt, I'm sorry, in here and drill another hole so that way I can attach the other hand to it. I'm not entirely certain yet, but I am gonna figure that out because I'd like to get away from the Velcro on the skeleton. But next steps are going to be painting. We're going to finally start painting, and I cannot wait to get this project over with. Not to say that I haven't had a blast with it, but I am just this. Anybody that's into Halloween that's building stuff knows that the clock is ticking, the countdown has begun. So it's really time to get going here if I want to try and get some of my other projects done for the rest of the year. The time has come to begin painting. I am beyond ecstatic to start doing this process. I have dry lock here that I'm going to be using on the base, and then I have this primer here that I'm going to be using for the coals and the cauldron. I'm not going to film all of this because I think you get the idea. Paint on project. I will come back and show you though when this is all painted. And oh, I also got the hardware. So there's the rebar, the metal pipe, and the flange. All that's been primered and hit with some black spray paint. So that's doing its thing. And then we got our skeleton, which we get to start corpsing. That's going to be the last thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to corpse him last. Just because that's going to be, I feel like, my most favorite part of this whole project. So I'm going to save that part for last. Okay, here is the platform with just one coat of dry lock on it. Debating if I'm going to go over with a second coat or not. Right now I think it looks pretty good just as is, but the reason why I'm considering doing a second coat is because these rocks are stacked pieces of foam. You can kind of see in some of the spots, you can kind of see a seam where the rocks were. I should have probably gone over that with foam clay. It got away from me. I forgot to do it, and now it's like, well, I figured the dry lock would fill in most of it, and to be fair, the dry lock has filled in most of the seams, but you can still see, like, there's a seam, there's a seam, there's a seam, there's a seam. And again, this is me being super critical. At nighttime, it's not going to be seen. By the time I finish painting it, it's probably not even going to be seen. But it's just stuff like that I'm just going to go ahead and touch up. Not going to bother boring you all with doing that. But you can see where I'm talking, Will, in spots that need to have a little more dry lock put on there. That'll help hide those seams. The gray stuff smeared on the plywood, I gotta say, I love how this turned out. It provides just enough texture to kind of give it like that resemblance of dirt or gravel or mud. However I end up painting it, it's going to add a nice little bit of texture to the piece. Next, though, is the bed of coals. Now, I have the lights on because, I'll be honest, I'm nervous on how much the paint is going to hide the lights that are hidden in the coal. I've seen a lot of tutorials where people have done it. It looks like it doesn't really seem to hinder it at all, so I'm sure I'm just being overly cautious right now, but I'm going to paint this with the lights off so that I can make sure I'm not putting too much down. I just want to throw a little bit of primer on this. I'm sure it's probably not even necessary. I could probably just hit this with regular old spray paint and save myself a step, but I'm going to just throw just a quick coat of primer over the top just to kind of help waterproof it a little bit more, and then I'll start painting it up. But I do want to do this with the lights on and the garage lights off so that way I can just make sure that I'm not putting paint on too heavy. The cauldron will be the last thing that we do. Again, everything is just going to get hit with just a quick coat of this primer, It's an outdoor waterproofing paint, so we're gonna go ahead and get going. All right, so our funnel cake, aka the coals, are done. I've now started working on the cauldron. Have not done the milk jug to cover up the speed controller, and that's why it's covered with paint. But can't wait to get this done, so that way I can actually start putting some actual color onto all this, but it's coming along. Cauldron is just about complete. I've covered, I would say, 80% of it. You can see that bottom portion all the way around I haven't touched yet. I'm just gonna wait for this to dry. I'll flip it upside down, and then I'll end up getting any parts underneath, like underneath the skulls and stuff like that, and just make sure I didn't miss any spots underneath the ledge here. But one thing that I am doing right now is I've got next to nothing for paint on my brush, but you can see I've got some thick spots where I've put the paint on just a little too heavy. And instead of brushing it off, instead what I like to do is I just dab it. That helps kind of take out any sort of brush strokes, and it also adds just a little extra texture to the surface. So what I'm doing right now is just essentially what you're seeing right here. I'm just lightly tapping across my paint and just kind of making my way all around the cauldron here, just so that way if there's any spots where either the paint is thick or maybe there's possible brush strokes, this is going to hide that, or this is going to help take that paint and spread it around so it dries a little faster, and we don't get any spots where you can see paint was just put on a little too thick. Now I did want to put the paint on thick for the fact that I want to make sure I get good coverage. But now I'm just gonna, like I said, just take whatever's left on there, spread it around, and just kind of add a little extra texture while I do it. Okay. The cauldron completely primed. And something I did off camera, if you remember, we had our speed controller there that was not covered. I've since taken a milk jug, just like I did with the motor, put a milk jug over it, started to heat it to let it kind of make its own sort of shape. Just like I said, this is just to keep the rain from falling on it. It's elevated up off the board, so I'm not worried about it getting wet. This is just to help keep water from actually splashing onto it. I then hit it with some flat black spray paint, and it's drying right now. I'm going to pause with painting the cauldron and the rest of the base because I'd like to turn my attention now to Mr. Skeleton. This has got to come off. This hardware has to come off. All has to get painted black. I want to paint it. Well, that stinks. I just realized I can't take this off now because I tied it here. Well, we're going to try to still paint it anyways. I'll try and cover as much of the skeleton to keep it from getting too badly painted, but forgot that I did that. Oh well, anyways, is it necessary that I have to paint this black? No. Will it rust? Yes. Will it rust to the point where it'll break off? Not for a while. This is just to keep the rust from, getting onto the rest of the skeleton, but to be honest with you, even if it does, how bad could that really look? I think it's only going to add to it. So a lot of this is going to still get covered up and hidden when we corpse it. I'm going to try and put some sort of tattered clothing possibly on it as well. But I do want to try, and at least if I can, even if I just brush on something to just kind of cover this up if possible. I'm not going to drive myself crazy with it. But I am going to now draw attention over to this part. Let's see if I can get a good angle here. This really sucks trying to have a camera so you can get the right angle that I'm trying to look at. I should just get something that attached to my forehead. Anyways, this, right? This is too much. We only need a little bit to hold this, and I want to work on this now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this closer to here. Once I do that, I'm going to put a bend upwards so that way the staff can't, accidentally come off. And then from there, I will probably just clip off whatever excess there is. So first thing I have to do is take the staff off, which shouldn't be too difficult. Okay. I just need to make sure that I don't melt the skeleton's hand. But what I'm going to do is heat this up, just because this is going to be tricky. And it's going to flop around a lot because it's just the way it's attached to the skeleton. But heat this up, squeeze this with a pair of pliers, and then try and bend that up as well. Okay, let's see if you can actually, probably can't tell from this angle so much. All right, so you can see I've now brought those two pieces, this one and this one, I squeezed these together. Now I'm going to take this piece and bend it up. Actually, what I think I'm going to try and do is I'm going to not only try to bend it up, but I'm also going to try and have it almost like a corkscrew effect, so that it almost makes like an eye right here that I'll be able to hopefully slide the eye bolt onto. So let's see if we can make that happen. Getting there. All right. Quick test here to see if I can get the eye bolt on there. And of course it's just a smidge too tight, but I think I can work that out. There it is. Okay. So now I will trim probably about, I'll end up cutting it probably about here, this excess part off. Just gonna use some bolt cutters. See where this ends up going. Okay, not terrible. All right. So there it is. I can just get it to focus a little bit better. All right, so that's where the eye bolt will slide onto. You can see it is a little sharp looking there, so I am going to take a file to it just to take those sharp points off and just smooth that out a little bit. So the hook's all filed down, ready to go to have the staff back and attached to it. I've now turned my attention to this arm and this hardware. I think I've made the decision that I'm going to take this bracket here that's holding this arm on. I'm going to take that off, and that's held on, just in case you're not sure, you can't really tell. There is a bolt that goes through, that gets threaded on. Well, actually, there's this eye bolt here that goes through this metal band that is screwed in right here. And when you put this bolt through that metal band. It goes through the bone, out through the band again, and then you use this nut here to hold everything secure, and it gives you all this motion, which is great. I mean, the motion is fantastic, but I just hate that clunky hardware sitting on there. My solution to that is to replace it with this. And these are just two, I think they're called eye hooks. Don't quote me on it. But they're just two of these eye hooks that all I do is just open one of them up and just stuck them together and close them back together. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unscrew that screw to take this off. Well, first I'll take this off so that this bracket is just hanging here without the arm attached. And then I'll take that screw off. I'll insert this into the shoulder, and then I'll have to drill another hole. I'll have to drill another hole here into the arm where I'll insert this. And it'll have the same range of motion, just not all this hardware that you see. So all we're going to do, like I said before, just going to screw one of these in to the hole that was already there from the previous hardware. Okay. And now the next thing that I'll end up having to do is I just need to drill a hole here into the arm so that way I can attach that other eye hook into here. So I'm going to go drill a hole real quick in this. Okay, back now we've got our little pilot hole here drilled. And now I'm just going to attach this. So I decided it was actually way too difficult to try and attach that with the arm either attached or the two eye hooks in here. So I decided instead, I opened up one of them again. I'm going to insert that back into here. And then once that's inserted, I'll just clip this one on there, use a pair of channel locks to squeeze them shut. Same sort of motion now. Just gonna try and squeeze this tight if I can. There we go. Okay, our arm is done and ready to go. So I've gone ahead and put everything back together. And at this point, all that we have left to do is start painting. The rocks have got all the dry lock that they're going to get. Even though I put on 2 coats hoping they would hide it, you can still see some of those seams. So my advice is next time use like foam clay or cover it up better up with like great stuff. But again, unless you're really going to be right on top of it, it's not going to show that much. One thing I am looking to do is once this is all painted up, I am going to get some sticks and stuff like that to just kind of put around the coals to kind of help make it look a little more realistic. Last thing that we'll end up doing, as I mentioned, is going to be corpsing the skeleton. So I can't wait to get that going. But yeah, this thing's ready for paint, and man, I cannot wait. Just because it's going to look so much better. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.